Divorce is one of the most challenging transitions in life, and without the right guidance, it can quickly turn into a disaster. Welcome to Dodging Divorce Disasters, the show that helps you navigate the legal, financial, and emotional pitfalls of divorce before they happen. In each episode, I sit down with a top professional in the divorce community to hear real-life war stories, cautionary tales from the trenches of divorce. But I won't leave you with just the horror stories. The experts will break down exactly what went wrong and, more importantly, how you can avoid making the same mistakes. Whether you're in the early stages of separation, deep in the process, or supporting someone through it, we are here to help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and fewer regrets. I'm your host, Lori Hawkins, and I am a local expert in divorce real estate. I am so excited to be sharing these incredible professionals with you. Let's dive in. I am so excited today to have Sindy Wylie here with me. She is a CDFA, and Sindy, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it, Lori. I mean, this is terrific, and I'm excited to speak to the audience.
I'm excited too because I know you've got great information. Tell us who you're with, what you do. I said a CDFA, but people may not even know what that means.
Okay.
And maybe the areas, like, I know you're in Charlotte. Do you only do the Charlotte area? Just kind of fill everybody in a little bit.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Yeah, my name is Sindy Wylie, and I am, as she said, a CDFA. Now, what does that stand for? Well, that stands for Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So I really bring the calm to the chaos of someone going through divorce. And I really can work all over the country, but primarily I work in North and South Carolina. My office is actually in Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And as I said, I'm a certified divorce financial analyst, as well as a certified financial planner and what's known as a RICP. It's Retirement Income Certified Professional.
Okay.
But primarily, I have two roles that I fill as a financial advisor and a CDFA. I work with women during and post-divorce. And the area I truly specialize in is women that have been married 20 plus years and are divorcing and approaching retirement. And if you think about it, this couple has planned a life and their finances to support one household in retirement. Now, those same assets are going to need to support two households and two retirements and two kids' weddings or grandchildren, right? It's really can cost more money. So really what I do is help them determine, what is her retirement going to look like? How is she going to be able to plan for this next chapter going forward and beyond? So I'll continue to work with them even post-divorce and, making sure that they have a comfortable retirement. So that's how I work on that side of things. I'm also what's known as a financial neutral. And this is where I'm brought on as a team member, which includes an attorney for each party. And I'll talk about this in a little bit. But it also has, typically a divorce coach, and that's collaborative divorce. So as a financial neutral, my job there is to look at both sides of the picture, not just one side, and provide an analysis of the effects, to each party based on the settlement options. So I'm truly neutral in that role. I'm not advocating for either party, and I'm an advisor. I don't give advice. I'm really just kind of an analyst at that point. If the division looks like this is what's going to happen. And even if a couple does not believe they can collaborate, this method, the collaborative divorce process, can really, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to divorce and can preserve those family relationships. So it's really a team approach. And so I can work as a financial neutral as well. So really those are the two areas that I specialize in.
Now, is your work done in person or can you do it over Zoom? How does that work?
So I typically, it's both. Lots of times I will do a Zoom. It can be convenient for people, but there's also times where people come into my office. As a financial neutral, that's going to also be a combination of in-person when the teams meet, but also it'll be a lot of Zoom as well. So it's really just whatever's convenient for the client. Yep.
Now, just out of curiosity, is there a story behind why you kind of go towards the niche of women with 20 plus years and the retirement part of it? Is there any
Yeah.
reason why you chose that?
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for asking that question. I had put out a why video a while back on LinkedIn. It's actually on my website too. It kind of describes why I'm so passionate about this particular niche. So, I was an advisor in the Pittsburgh area, working with all walks of life for about 10, 11 years. And then what brought me down to Charlotte is I came down here to become a manager, and I ran an office hiring and training advisors. And once I did that for about another 10, 11 years. And I just wanted to get back out and work with clients, which was truly my passion in the beginning, to help people that way, one-on-one. And as I was getting back in the field, I realized, I want to do something that this next chapter of my career, I want to do something that really can mean a lot to me. So my mom was divorced twice, and in her second marriage is where she had me. And I'm sure in each of those marriages, she was hoping for a better life. Well, her second marriage, he was abusive. And in fact, at the age of when I was 3 years old, she packed up the car with her kids, 4 kids in tow, and basically ran away from home. And I was 3. Yeah. And we lived in a car for a week, and it was just, and she had to pick up the pieces and raise her kids all by herself. And just seeing her struggle financially, even as she approached retirement, she struggled. And I just really realized I want to help women like her find that sense of independence and be able to really get back on their feet and give them the confidence that they can continue on. So that's really why I got into
Yeah,
that.
I've never heard that story before. That touches my heart. I was kidding beforehand. I laugh, I cry during these, but I really am going to tear up. That is great, and I know your mom is very proud of you for helping. And that kind of just goes right in. I mean, gray divorce, which a lot of people may not understand what that is either, but it is so prevalent right now. For people that are 50 and over that are getting divorced and have been together for a long time, and then in the time where they should be coasting the rest of their living on all their savings and all that good stuff that they did along the way, and now they're caught in a divorce that neither one of them ever planned. So
Right.
I get it. Did you say, you probably did, but did you say what the company name was that you work for?
Tara,
The
yeah.
Terra Investors. Okay. All right, great. All right. Well, I always try to get a fun fact about my guests because I am learning such great things about everybody that I'm interviewing. And when I saw yours, I was like, good gracious, are you kidding me?
What is
So,
that?
well, you had said that you dove in is it Sonota? Tell me how they pronounce
Cenotes.
Cenotes in Cancun. Okay, I
So
looked that up,
did
and
you?
they are tall.
Well, actually, cenotes, they are underwater cave systems
That's not what
in
I
the
saw.
in the Yucatan. And so if you go towards Cancun, these are underwater cave systems. They're freshwater pools. And they were created, like, I think when the limestone bedrock collapsed, and they revealed these pools of these, and they're kind of all over. So they'll be inland a good ways. They'll be inland. And
Wow.
so this was during my spring break of college, and my friends and I went down there, and I went scuba diving. They didn't scuba dive, but I was licensed scuba diver. So I dove, and the instructor told us about these cenotes. And I kind of thought the instructor was cute. So anyway,
You had ulterior motives.
the instructor said, I'll take you and your friends out to these cenotes. And it was so neat. So they're not very big either. The area where the water is up is there, And so we dove down into this fresh water. And we didn't go all the way in deep into the caves underwater because I don't have the cave diving part of my certification. But we went down into these caves, and then he had told me, we're going to turn our lights out down there. It was crazy. So I'm breathing underwater with no lights on. And of course, we turned them on pretty quick, but it was really, really, really neat. Yeah, it was
Oh
so
my
pretty.
gosh.
It was a good experience. Yeah.
I admire you for that. Water is kind of like, I'm not a big swim. I can swim, but I have never enjoyed anything to do with water. And
Well, yeah, it's so pretty down there. But yeah, it's funny thing. I drowned when I was 5.
are you
So
serious? And you
yeah,
still, well, see, you beat your fear. I love
yeah,
that
I'm
even
still
more.
afraid, but I kind of overcome it. Yeah,
That
somewhat.
is so cool. Well, that is a great fun fact. Okay, now let's kind of jump into the main reason we're here, dodging divorce disasters. I always ask my guests if there is a story with a client that you've had that just some craziness that may have gone on, that if they had made some different decisions perhaps, then they might not have had to go through this. So we're trying to help someone
Yeah.
to maybe prevent, dodge some divorce disasters. Do you have a story to share with us?
Well, I do. I don't know if it constitutes crazy. I'll kind of talk about a couple different things, but I believe that if they're divorcing and they bring on a team of qualified professionals, not just the attorneys, but they have a divorce coach and they definitely have a certified divorce financial analyst. That alone, those decisions alone will prevent mistakes. Or they have a certified divorce real estate expert if they're selling their home like yourself, so if they have the qualified professionals, one thing I could tell them is you're less likely to make any mistakes. You're not
Right.
you're not going to have to dodge disasters because you have the right people. The
Yeah.
problem is when people try to do it themselves. I think that's, you put so much money into the marriage, right? You think about when they first got married, they were in love and they put so much effort into that. Now they're undoing a long time marriage. And I think it's just as important to put money and effort into that as well. And
Right.
that's one of the things I've seen lately is a couple will separate and then they wait years to actually divorce. I saw not because it's tied up in the legal system. It's just one case I saw was 7 years later they finally decided to actually
Yep.
go through the financial and legal side of getting that divorce. I was like shocked. They'd grown in children and they had some rental properties plus the homes they lived in. And it seemed amicable because they'd been separated for so long and they were, and they finally decided to actually go through the process and it really wasn't amicable anymore. So I think what happens is a tendency for people to drag their feet. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've noticed that especially recently, especially if you have somebody that's been together for 20 plus years and then they know they don't want to be together anymore. So they kind of separate, but they keep everything else the same.
Right.
All the finances are still all mixed up and right.
Yeah.
Because change is hard. And I know, a divorce is a big change for someone's entire life, right?
Exactly.
Housing, friends, family, finances. And it takes not just emotional work to go through the process of divorce, right? It takes work on the finances, all the documents that they have to gather, the budgeting, the evaluating of how much money they spend and where the money's going month to month basis. These are things that people don't do even when they are married or even when they're single, right? It's just, so on top of that, they have to make decisions that they're going to have to make that's going to affect the rest of their life. So it's a lot. And by the way, this is in addition to their existing day job, right? They're still raising kids. They still have their general life is still moving. So it's not just the emotional work. It's all those other things.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen that delaying the inevitable never seems to work out. It's best just to get through the pain and get to the other side. And if they have a team working with them, that team is going to help them.
And I understand. I mean, I have been through a divorce myself, so I completely understand. I completely understand what you're saying, but I do understand where people come from in that it is all I can do to pay for my attorney. I am going in debt just to pay for my attorney. And that is exactly what my sentiments were when I was going through my divorce. Now working so closely with all you guys, I realized that I could have saved a ton of money if I had laid out a little bit more money by hiring you or a CDFA or a divorce coach I actually would have come out a lot better in the end. But when you're in the midst of that, it's difficult to lay out more money when you're already so overwhelmed. But I completely agree. Let me ask you, if someone is looking for a divorce coach, like if somebody says, yes, I need somebody to help me get my finances in order, where does someone start? Like, how do they find a CDFA? How do you decide which CDFA is right for you?
Well, I think it's making sure that they have the credentials, right? They want to look for somebody that has a strong background in financial planning, accounting, law, along with that certified divorce financial analyst certification, because they want to have some background though behind it, some other designations, because a good CDFA is going to have to make sure they understand the tax implications, right? That's really important. Dividing of assets is not created equal. A savings account at the bank is not the same as an IRA, which has tax implications to it. So they got to understand retirement planning, budgeting for that post-divorce life. And they also should have a collaborative, approach to the work that they do. They should be able to work effectively with attorneys and mediators and other, professionals to make sure that it's comprehensive and good communication skills. I think a CDFA, if when you're talking to them, it should be not stressful, right? It's important that they're able to take complex financial matters and be able to educate you in a clear and supportive way, so that because the CDFA is not going to the financial person is not going to make decisions for you. That's your job to make the decisions, but they have to be able to give you the information so that you can understand it and be able to make decisions from there. So, and just make sure their pricing aligns with your budget. Some charge hourly rates, some have flat fees. So it's really just depends on, how that works.
What kind of information, like if I wanted to hire you, what do I need to have gathered? What kind of information do you need to be able to work the most efficiently for me?
Well, one of the things is it's important to gather everything. A CDFA to properly do the work, it's all financial documents and all pages. Sometimes people will send screenshots. That's not going to work, right? We really need to be able to get all the documents and all the details, all the pages. So the initial consultation, when somebody sits down with me, I really only need a general idea of their financial situation in the beginning. As they go through the process, I'll let them know what documents they're going to need to gather and how much of it, from the investment statements, mortgage statements, or tax returns. I'll be able to help them gather those documents, start to analyze their spending and create a budget and all those things. I'm going to help them through all aspects of that. But really, one of the things I think in the first initial consultation and the first few meetings that they're going to need to do is begin to think about their future. And it's hard at first, right? But start thinking about what the next phase of their life looks like. And that's not going to show up on a statement, right? And unfortunately, this has to happen at the same time that they're grieving about what they thought was going to be the next phase, right? But if they allow themselves some space, it can actually be fun. I mean, they have a chance to start from scratch. What did they dream of doing that got lost when they got married? Is it time to go back to school? Maybe they should replace that huge family home that you had to work at keep and clean and keep up. Maybe a cool downtown loft condo is something that, would fit into this next phase. But whatever they dream of, we got to make sure that the budget is going to support that financial picture, And so it's also so it's important that they're going to know what they want, because in negotiation with oftentimes the husband and wife actually want two different things. Right? I guess you could relate it to an orange. The husband might want the peel and you want the juice or whatever. Right. So they want you. So I think if they start to pinpoint the things that they want, it's going to help this go along faster. I do find that one thing that the husband and wife do share that they care most about is that their kids are taken care of and that they're not negatively impacted from the divorce. And which is why I wholeheartedly believe in the collaborative divorce process. And I can talk about that if you want, which can help keep those families whole and keep it intact.
Well, let me ask you this. Just if anyone's listening to this and it is the first time they've even heard of a certified divorce financial analyst. Okay, so they're trying to figure out, gosh, is this, really somebody I need? If you guys don't do this, help them, then this is something that the attorney is going to take on and do themselves or hand it over to a paralegal or something. And I'm what you guys charge, but I'm sure y'all do it cheaper and more effectively than a law firm would, right? I mean, this is something that's got to be done. So do you want somebody that's really an expert in doing this, like you guys are? Not to say that an attorney can't do this, because I know they do this for a lot of people, but this is not their lane of expertise, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Just as I wouldn't say that I can give the legal advice,
Right.
So I think that, and this is where, and it'll lead me to like really what I think is really one of the best processes, and that's a collaborative divorce process. If somebody's not a collaboratively trained attorney, they might not even talk about this as an option, because there's different ways that somebody can get divorced, but it should be an option that's considered. So how it works is it's a team of people. So in that team, you have each person, each couple, right? The couple, they each have their own collaboratively trained attorney. There's a divorce coach or mental health therapist that will help with the emotion, move the process forward on the emotional side, and the financial neutral that is trained in the financial side. So they're all a team and they all sign an agreement. They're all committed to making sure that this couple can come to a decision and come to the negotiation table and not go to court. So imagine how productive it could be if both people could meet in a room with the attorneys and actually speak to each other on each point. And imagine if there's a financial neutral there to help with the financial issues, a divorce coach to move the process along on the emotional side. Imagine how much quicker that could go. And the faster the couple can come to an agreement, the actual less cost they're going to endure, even with all those other specialists. And during this process, at times, you're not working with the entire team. If they're on the financial side, they're only working with the financial person. They're not paying the attorney's per hour fees. They're only paying the financial per hour fees, and a lot less.
Right.
They're paying at that rate versus the attorney rate. And
Right.
that financial person is trained in this, so they can do it faster because they've been doing it for a long time, right? Someone said to me recently, I thought was pretty interesting. They said, divorce is 40% emotional, 40% financial, and 20% legal. I would even take that even higher on the emotional side and say 80% emotional, right? Because even financial decisions are emotional.
Right.
If we only have that legal side represented and you're relying on the attorneys to do the financial and help with the emotional side, you're just not going to have a successful divorce.
Right.
And I think be left with a bitter end to a marriage that started with love and hope for a better future. So I'm very passionate about that collaborative divorce process. I encourage those that are considering divorce to visit the charlottecollaborativedivorce.com, and there's a couple short videos describing that process. Yeah. And in that process, they bring on allied professionals like yourself on the certified divorce real estate side, so that way the right people are helping you make the right decision. They have the right information. So it's worth every penny, and it may be saving you money in the long run.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of to the extent that I actually went through the collaborative training process myself as a realtor, because as a CDRE, I am a neutral third party, which does go hand in hand with collaborative divorce. But I also just wanted to learn what you guys did at the table, to understand that process so that, I could better help my clients too, if that's the type of divorce. Now, I know it doesn't work for everybody. I mean, it just doesn't. You've got to be able to be collaborative to an extent to be able to give and take. So it doesn't work for everybody, but I really am very much a fan of that too. So yeah, definitely. Well, going back, can you is there a particular story that you can think of that maybe a tip or something that you could tell the people that are listening how they could dodge? And maybe you did, maybe just getting your team together. is what you want to stress.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing is finding the right people to help. It's a lot of decisions are going to be made, and why not have the experts? You don't know what you don't know, right? And so,
Yes.
but while they may think they can, it's simple, they think they can do it. Some of the issues I see are, one, not taking into consideration taxes at all. I see that a lot. And
Right.
I mentioned that earlier, right? I mean, you
Mhm.
have a savings account worth 100,000 and a 401k worth 100,000. Are those created equal? No, they're not. The other thing, should they keep the house or sell? There's a lot of things that go in, to play
Mhm.
there. So I think having the right people to help will dodge some of those disasters. And sometimes, they don't even know that they made the mistake until after the fact.
Right. That's when it gets more costly. Right.
That's when, once the divorce is final, it's near impossible to go back and correct the mistakes that are made. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's so my most recent one, I mean, they had been married for, a long time. Their kids are grown and their finances were so intertwined. And even though she had quite a bit, she still didn't know if it was going to be enough to carry her through retirement. And so
Right.
by sitting down, we were able to determine, okay, if you sell the house, this is what's going to look like. And where would you go from there, right? What would you do after? What are the pros and cons of that? If you stay in the house, this is the cost. Can your money support that? Can it
Mhm.
carry you into retirement? How is Social Security going to come into play? In your planning,
Yeah. So many
so
questions. So many
so many,
questions that need answers to.
so
I
many.
know. I know y'all are worth every penny. Okay, well, is there anything else that you can think of that we didn't cover that you want to cover?
No, I just want to, I thank you so much for
Yes.
highlighting, the certified divorce financial analyst designation. And I really think the team is so important to have: the certified divorce real estate expert, a divorce coach, a certified divorce financial analyst, and collaboratively trained attorneys are crucial.
Right. I you
Hey, even if somebody decides that they're not sure if they want to bring all those, they need to have those consultations to
Yeah.
learn about what those people do. It's
I
worth it.
agree. I agree. And that is the main reason that I am doing these podcasts is because I truly believe that knowledge is power and a lot of people just do not realize what is out there. And so they go through a lot of this alone
Yep.
and they don't need to.
No,
So,
it could be, lots of times they have to heal, right? And if it's not been done well and they go through their divorce and they don't have the right support, it's going to carry the rest of their life. But if
right,
they have the right team and they could move from this tough stage with confidence that, okay, I'm the best divorced person I can be at this point. You know what I mean? I
right.
just think
Yeah.
it gives them confidence to move on in the next stage. So
Yeah.
we can't
Completely agree.
shortchange this pain that you're going through. To me, it's like, okay, well, I need surgery and I can go down the street and, have somebody do it for me, or I can go to someone that has years of experience and a licensed
Exactly.
practitioner. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I
So,
am right there with you.
yeah.
Right there with you. Okay, I'm going to put your contact info at the end of this, but why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, my website, Sindy Wylie, Cetera Investors. They can go on the Charlotte Collaborative Divorce Professionals website and they can find my contact information there along with other CDFAs. Also, there's divorce coaches on there and other collaboratively trained attorneys. Also, they can email me, Sindy, SINDY.Wylie, WYLIE at CeteraInvestors.com. So.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to explain all of this. And I really hope that this gives everyone listening a little bit of insight and the realization that they're not alone and that there's people out there that can help them through the financial process of divorce.
Thank you, Lori, for giving me this opportunity. I really
Yeah.
appreciate
Okay,
it.
we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Information contained herein is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, please seek an attorney.